15.
Hello, Internet world. Welcome to Snarky Puppy Interviews itself. Crossroad Media is so excited to have these talented musicians with us here today to chat about music, possibly their new album with the Metropole Orchestre called Silva, and really whatever else they feel like talking about. So joining us today, we have saxophonist Chris Bullock, guitarist Mark Lettieri, drummer Larnell Lewis, trumpet player Michael Maher, and of course, bassist and brains behind Snarky Puppy, Michael League. So thanks again for being with us today, and let's get started. So I'm handing it over to Michael.
What we'll do here, welcome everyone, I guess, by the way, so you can watch us hanging out. We're backstage right now in San Francisco at the SF Jazz Center, where we're about to play our first show of four here in San Francisco, and I think maybe 3 weeks of touring in the U.S. So now I'm going to take this opportunity to publicly ask guys in the band questions that I've never asked them, and we'll see where it leads. Mark Lettieri, what was the very first rock and roll T-shirt?
It's Lettieri, or whatever.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, look, hey, this is what Maz has for dinner.
Pretty good. San Francisco Jazz Center does it right.
Good catering.
After this, I'm going to get an oatmeal cookie that looks amazing.
Lots of butter.
Are we talking about something? Sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike?
Lettieri, what was the first classic rock T-shirt you ever owned?
It was...
Wait, hold on. Van Halen, 1974 Alive, no?
No, they weren't even really around then. They kind of were. They were still known as Mammoth, and they were playing backyard parties in Pasadena. Anyway, I think that the dates might be not quite right. No, it was a Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction tour T-shirt from the 1987 tour that my lovely wife bought for me before we were married, and that's when I knew we were going to get married.
How many times have you seen Guns N' Roses live, Mark?
Never, but I've seen Slash twice. I saw him in Velvet Revolver, and I saw him with his solo band.
Awesome.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike.
What's the worst gig you ever played?
Wait, hold on. You're frozen. What?
I was thinking, what's the worst gig you ever played?
The worst gig I ever played?
Minus Snarky Puppy gigs, of course.
Minus all the terrible Snarky Puppy gigs that I've played. Man. You put me on the spot.
It's an interview.
They ask you questions.
I can't think.
You might even have to improvise a solo later tonight.
Oh, my God. Don't make me do that.
Hey, Maz, here's another question that was requested. When you're playing in C sharp, what you thinking about?
Come back to me, please, on the worst gig, because I know I'm not going to.
Come on, Maz.
No, I can't think of it right now.
It doesn't have to be the worst gig you ever played. It's just the first thing that hits your mind.
Come on, man. You gotta be one.
We're losing viewers rapidly, Maz.
I know.
HBO
TV.
To be on The View with the 900-pound squid.
Exactly. There's a 900-pound squid on The View.
All right, Maz, think about it.
Thank you.
Next.
So, Maz, when you're playing in C sharp, what are you thinking about?
Nothing.
Awesome.
Nothing.
Maz, why don't you ask Bullock a question?
Oh, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Maz and Bullock not only stand next to each other on stage with this band every night and play a lot of the same gigs in New York, but they also live together, so they're never apart.
We actually don't see each other that much at home. You'd be surprised.
You wish. Come on, Maz. What you got for Bullock?
What is that strange stuff in the shower, man?
Oh my
What
god.
is that?
I get back.
A real one? A real one?
What did you always want to ask Bullock, but you never did, but now you did in front of many people on the internet?
Who's your favorite tenor saxophone player?
Wow.
Ooh.
Really?
Living or dead?
Let's go both. Let's go dead first.
Dead. Ooh, Joe Henderson.
Ooh.
All right. Acceptable. Living.
Living. That's tough. That's a tough one. I'm gonna give you two. I really like Joe Lovano and I like John Ellis.
Joe Lovano and John Ellis. And now forget about all that like totally meaningless stuff. Rush, yes or no?
Oh, no! There's a Canadian here. You
Canada.
It's not for me. It's not for me. It's not for me. It's just
Larnell, Rush, yes or no?
Neil Peart.
Yeah, man.
Yes! Yes! My man!
Exactly.
He's required to like Neil Peart.
That's right.
here.
The real question is, how do you pronounce his
Yeah.
last name? Is it Peart, Peart?
I say Peart. People say Peart.
Let's
I
call
say
the whole
Peart.
thing off.
How many times does Neil Peart have in his drum set?
Right now,
This very moment.
this very moment. No, man.
Use a cocktail kit.
It's going to be wrong. I'm going to say I don't know. I don't know
Good
exactly.
answer.
Yeah.
Lorna, you must have a question for someone in the posse.
Yeah. Maz,
In the hot seat.
I'm popular today.
you play a few instruments and you sing, but why trumpet?
Ooh.
Oh, man. Okay. All right, the first answer is completely by accident. It was like 4th grade. Hey, what instrument do you want to play? Oh, that one looks cool. You know, dumbest mistake of my entire life. But then later, Miles Davis. I mean, all the way. When I first heard Kind of Blue, I was about 15 years old. It was over.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's the coolest guy ever,
Mhm.
and his music is great. So I basically want to be him every day. When I wake up, I try to be him. Am I getting close, guys? Good. Am I almost?
So Nate, who's sitting behind us, wave, Nate.
There,
Posed a really good one that we're gonna go around the house with this. Everybody answer. The first album you ever bought, and whether it was a cassette or a CD or vinyl. Lettieri.
Stone Temple Pilots, Purple, on cassette.
Maz.
I think it was a CD of Pearl Jam's 10.
Miles and I were neighbors.
Right.
Oh, no.
Kimberell live in concert
Oh my God.
with our friend
Everybody just did Andy
That was Sput playing drums.
and Calvin
Wow.
Rogers.
That's weird.
Wow, man, that's amazing.
Bullet.
The first cassette tape. I'm going back earlier than I think you guys are actually admitting. But when I was in 3rd grade, I bought Beach Boys Still Cruising with my lawnmower money.
Yeah.
There you go.
My first album that I ever bought, my name was a CD.
Uh-huh.
It was like when CDs first came out, it was Blackstreet, Another Level.
Oh!
Alright, I'm gonna just so y'all can make fun of me. Cassette tape. It was the single CNC Music Factory. Yes! Good vibration, yeah, buddy. And then first CD was Arrested Development. Another single.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Yeah, Tennessee.
My sister and I had Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby on cassette, and we listened to it regularly for a few months.
I had the Cool Runnings soundtrack.
Yo,
I bet you didn't even know that movie had a soundtrack for sale.
Of course
but
it did.
my parents were very conservative, and I would have to approve what I would buy or purchase. And I remember one time I was at a Walmart in this podunk town in South Carolina where I was living, and it was either AC/DC, Back in Black, or Genesis, the one that I Can't Dance, I Can't Walk. And I remember my mother sitting in the Walmart going, "You shook me all night long. You shook me." Oh no, put that back. So is I Can't Dance, I Can't Walk.
Yeah.
Still not a bad thing.
Which is a great record.
My brother managed to leave the record store with an Anthrax cassette tape. This is before parental advisory. And he was like, Dad, put this in. I think I was in like 3rd grade. He was in 5th grade. And every other word was, fuck. My dad just took it out and he threw it out the window.
That's amazing.
Good story.
Yeah. Drops the microphone.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Let's do
Snarky
one
Puppy,
more.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it, Amanda.
Hey, so what do you remember about your first concert experience?
Oh, that's a good question.
I went to go see Billy Joel and Elton John. It was amazing.
That was last week.
I was young.
Loser.
I was probably 10 or 12. I went with my parents. It was freaking incredible, obviously.
Yeah.
Huge production, all those great songs. I remember specifically the drummer. I don't know who it was, but he had a really nice setup, a big setup. I think he probably had a gong, and he was killing it. From what I can remember back then, he was really killing it.
What, in Wauwatosa?
No, it was in Milwaukee though. It was at the old county stadium in Milwaukee before they tore it down and built a new one.
It's just a fire, don't worry.
Yeah, that was loud.
What about yours, Mark?
I remember my first concert was Weezer and No Doubt, actually, at the Shoreline Amphitheater here in California in Mountain View. And I remember I had never been to anything that loud before. And I remember when, I think it was even the opening band before Weezer started playing, feeling like all of that bass, and it made my organs rumble. And that's when I knew it was like, okay, I have to figure out a way to do this for a living. If I can give people that same effect through volume.
Rumbling? You want to rumble people?
It was a fun show, and I remember very distinctly No Doubt's guitar player, because he wasn't really known as like a guitar guy because he was in a pop band, but he was like shredding like a maniac, and that was really neat.
That was neat.
It was neat. What about you, Michael?
That's what my mom says when I say something that doesn't mean anything to her. That's neat, honey. Larnell.
Take out the crowd.
I saw Roy Haynes, Herbie Hancock.
Yeah, of course.
Kenny
Oh yeah,
Collie
This guy.
at Massey Hall. This was early 2000s. It was the 50th anniversary of a concert that was done there with Max Roach and Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
That was your
That's
first concert?
Like my first major concert. I mean, I've been playing in church though forever,
Oh, yeah,
so you get to see guys come through. But concert, you pay for tickets. That was the first one.
Wow.
That's
So-
super class.
Cool, man.
Yeah, classy, Larnell.
My first concert. I mean, I saw a bunch of like Christian artists because that's what my parents like to go to. But the one that impacted me, the first one I ever paid for, I went and saw Lou Donaldson when I was like 16.
Oh, wow.
And Dr. Lonnie Smith was playing, and he was playing the organ with his tongue. And Lou Donaldson was telling these funny jokes. Fast forward to like 2 years ago, we were in Tenerife playing at the Jazz Festival. Lou Donaldson was still telling the same jokes, and they were still hilarious. But it was a great concert, and it was first jazz experience, live jazz experience.
For me, it was, I was 3 years old, 4 years old, and I went with my parents to see Little Feat with George Thorogood opening.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And as soon as he played Bad to the Bone, I went to sleep, and I slept through the whole concert. but actually, because that's all I was 4 years old, that's all I cared about. But now, of course, Little Feat is like one of my favorite bands. But that was it.
Mark's done with us.
Well, yeah.
Might as well.
Since then, many more. Was that a sufficiently entertaining answer, Amanda?
Absolutely. I think we all learned a lot.
We all learned a lot.
We're all dumber now because of.
We're going to retire to our oatmeal cookies now, which, by the way, I just had a bite of one, and they're fantastic, for those of you who are wondering.
I'm gonna do one too.
They're very nice.
Had a good week.
Bring me one of those.
Yeah, man.
I'll be right there.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for doing the hangout today. It was a ton of fun, and I think we learned a lot of interesting things about you guys. So I hope all our viewers watching enjoyed the hangout too. If you missed it, make sure to check out the video on our YouTube page. Our username is CrossriverMediaNet. We also have another Snarky Puppy Google Hangout in the works later this month, so make sure to subscribe and follow Crossriver Media and, of course, Snarky Puppy on Twitter and Facebook so you know when to join us for the next one. So thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Amanda.
See ya. Thanks, Amanda.